Hey everybody, Chris McGarrahan Jr. here. On this episode, we have an electric entrepreneur. This is somebody who went from the forests of Oregon to literally building a product and a business that touches the lives of Kim Kardashian, Paula Abdul, Jennifer Lopez, the Steve Martins of the world. Literally the most powerful people, the most famous celebrities in Hollywood and in the world, her product touches. She's recently featured on Harper's Bazaar, one of the most famously recognized beauty magazines on planet Earth. And she's spent hours and hours, years and years perfecting her craft in the beauty and hair industry to the point where people from all over the world pay her for advice. Now, we're fortunate enough to where she's going to give some advice, she's going to drop some knowledge. She gets very passionate and very excited during this interview, but that's what makes her so successful. So without further ado, welcome my good friend and dynamic entrepreneur, Kiara Bailey. For those that don't know you, let me give a quick introduction and you can correct me if I'm wrong. So you have a pretty interesting upbringing, definitely didn't come from those lavish upbringing, to say the least. And now it's safe to say, and this is where I want to hold me back if I'm being too much here, you're probably the most important person in Hollywood. Let me elaborate why, because you're going to disagree. So in Hollywood,
no.
What's that?
I said I'll agree with you.
You'll agree? Oh, I take it, yeah. No one's going to sell you like this ever. So Kiara is literally the person who makes, and I'm assuming it's mostly women or all women, right? The women of Hollywood, who are the most famous people on planet Earth, you make them look good.
Yeah.
Right? You do it through hair extensions.
Yeah.
We're going to talk a little bit about hair today, but really, I want to talk about how you became so important in such a saturated market, right? Because if somebody looks at you, you're what, 5'2"?
Yeah.
If that?
Thanks for outing me.
All right, you're 5'2", but you're this little fireball of information. How did you go? And you grew up in Oregon, right?
Yeah.
In kind of the middle of nowhere, what you told me before. You grew up in the middle of nowhere. You're this 5'2" little person just full of energy. How did you go from the middle of the woods in Oregon to really no credibility, no idea what success is, no idea what to do, to virtually dominating the Hollywood hair industry? How did this happen?
I mean, I think it happened the way it does with everybody, right? Like anybody who has anything, like all the people you look at who have businesses, who are making millions of dollars, who are whatever, like it's one thing, right? You do one thing, you do it really well, right?
And when you say one thing, you mean one thing, like one topic, one industry,
one
genre.
Topic, right? Choose something and run with it. And obviously, like explore and figure out what you're good at, right? But choose one thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just turned 39, and like, I didn't know this is what 39 would feel like, right? Like when I was in my 20s, I was just like, like 39, I'm just gonna feel like I'm just starting. Like I feel like I'm just starting now, right? Like where I'm like, oh, I have a bunch more stuff to do, right? But I chose one thing, and then I just worked hard at it, right? Like, I didn't mess around. It's not like I spent the past 20 years, like, messing around. I started doing hair when I was 16, and, like, it was like, okay, I did that, I built it. What's the next thing? Okay, I'm moving to LA. Okay, I worked at this salon, I built it. What's the next thing? I'm moving to the next salon. Okay, I worked on that and built it. Now I need to be on the TV show. Okay, I was on the TV show and built it. Now what do I need to do? I need to go launch my own line. Okay, what now? Right? Like, it was like, I went with the momentum.
Yeah.
I didn't stop and sit around and go, well, like, what's going to happen? Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I had a huge fear of failure because of where I came from, right? And you grow up with this, like, these limited beliefs because when you grow up poor and you grow up where there's not a lot of opportunities and, you know, you don't get to go to college like all the other kids, you have a lot of doubt. But when your desire to do the thing is bigger than your doubt, then you're going to win.
That's cool. That's really interesting because, you know, and you know this, and we'll talk about now what you're doing in a few minutes here, because now you're really in the people business more than the hair business, and we've talked about this before. So we'll get into that. But a lot of people don't realize, like, there's doubt. And you, because I know your circumstances and you told me your story, it was like, I mean, insane amounts of doubt. So how did you?
Even when we met. Like,
Yeah,
like
I
I'm
remember,
like
yeah.
building this thing because I know it's right,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's another thing. Like I built my company. Like I'm not out there doing everyone's hair. I built my company by helping other people,
Yeah.
right? So I have a group of people that I help them become successful, and that's helped me become successful,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But it's like even when we met, I was like, okay, I have this amount of success because I'm doing the right things, but I'm like doubting the hell out of myself all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Do I not have it? Am I not educated enough? Can I not do it? Like, is it going to ruin my life if I become a workaholic? If I, become a workaholic, I am. But if I continue being a workaholic,
Yeah.
right? And like my relationship with my kid, and
Yeah.
and I think that a lot of people get stuck there.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people
doubts.
get stuck in the doubt.
So you said something interesting, right? You said my desire was bigger than my doubts. Why? Was it just you found something you loved?
I
What
think it
happened?
comes to intention, right? So like, I was not going to get a chance to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wasn't even on the table. Wasn't even.
We couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
Like, and also like my mom didn't know what the CSATs were. Like
Yeah,
it wasn't like she was like telling me go take that test. Like she was just like okay, But my mom grew up in a like little stone house with 11 brothers and sisters. So it's not like
Wow.
she, and became a hairstylist who like took care of her family. Like she did well
Mm-hmm.
for where she came from as well. And so my option, she was like, go to beauty school, learn a trade, right? Have something that at 17, when you graduate from high school, you can make yourself some money, right? You can support yourself. You don't have to be stressed out and freaking out about where the money's going to come from. You'll always have something you can do to make money.
Mm-hmm.
Move to Bolivia, make money. Move to Thailand,
Anywhere where there's hair.
Anywhere where there's people,
Yeah.
right? And then there's, you can also use it for animals, I suppose. If you
I get,
right?
no, just hair, so not even people.
And so when I started doing hair, it was like, that was my moment of feeling like I was successful. Like, wow, I really made it. Like when I was living in Turlock and I was making like $1,000 a week or $2,000 a week at like 19.
Yeah.
And I had my own studio apartment. Like all my
Big
friends were living with their
time,
parents. Like I had like made it.
Yeah.
Right? So that was like the first taste of like, it feels good.
Okay.
Right? And
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people get confused because they do stuff and it feels bad. And they keep doing it and they're like, one day it'll feel good. It's like, no. Like your thing you're good at feels good the first day you do it.
Immediately
You get that high, you get that
doing it.
endorphin, you're just like, ooh, this is for me.
Yeah.
Right? And so I did hair and it felt good. And then
No, sorry to cut you off. Was it you did hair and it felt good? Was it you got paid and it felt good? Or was it both?
I think at that time I was still like very much in the kind of infantile artistic component of it.
18,
Like
19,
where like it was just the artistry of it. Right? But
making
having
something
money
look
to
good.
go to the bar and like pay for everyone's drinks.
Of course.
Was, like, it
Wasn't a
felt
bad
really
option.
good too, right? And then it started not feeling so good, right? And it wasn't that I didn't like the job. It was that I didn't think that I was doing enough, right? Like I was like, I should be doing more. I should be having a bigger impact. Whatever it was, right? And that's when I decided to move to LA. I was like, well, I got to get out because like I've already exceeded the maximum capacity for this bubble, right? I need a bigger bubble.
Yeah.
And then I moved to LA.
That's interesting. So, and that was from Turlock, California.
Yeah.
To LA.
To like 35,000 people to like 7 million.
Yeah.
Right? Like didn't know anybody. Not one person.
So that's interesting right there, because how many people stayed in Turlock, right?
Lots.
And kept making
Most everyone.
kept making $1,000 to $2,000 a week, right?
Most everybody.
Most everybody. So that constant evolution, that's interesting. All right, so you make it to LA. What happens next? How old are you when you get to LA?
20.
20.
Yeah.
All right, what happens next? What happens in LA?
I came down. I ended up getting a job working at a salon on Rodeo Drive, but I got a job as a commission hairstylist. So we know what commission means, right? Like you don't make a sale, you don't get paid.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, I have no clients, right? I have nothing. Are you gonna give me people? They're like, and everyone's answer, well, we'll give you leads, we'll give you, like people, but we can't guarantee that. Like, okay. So what can you guarantee me? I was like, I need some kind of guarantee because I'm about to rent an apartment to live here so I don't live in my car.
Yeah.
And they're like, we'll give you $200 a week, right? To shampoo hair for other people and sweep and blow dry, like whatever.
Yeah, the
anything.
dirty work.
Dirty work,
Yeah.
right? I was like, I'll take it. So I had my $800 a month coming in from that, right? And my rent was $1,200. So I was like, cool.
All right, so I got to hustle
Starting
to make
out
400.
upside down,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And so the only thing that I knew, right, to do was like I had $2,000 a week sitting up in Northern California for me, waiting. So I would work Tuesday through Saturday at the salon from 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then I picked up another job, right? So Tuesday through Friday, I would hostess at this Asian restaurant at the Santa Monica airport.
Okay, and this is all in LA.
Yeah, in LA,
okay,
right?
Yeah.
And then I would get off work on Saturday and I would drive to Turlock. And I would do clients all day Sunday, all day Monday. And like I have a bunch of friends who were just commenting on this, like them sitting waiting at the salon for me so we could like go out afterwards. But I would do clients all day Sunday, all day Monday. And then Monday night, like around 10 o'clock, I would get in the car and drive the 6-hour drive back to LA. Right, get in here like 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, get up, go to work. And I did that for like 4 years.
From 20 to 24, 25, something like that. Wow, just hustling.
Just driving back and forth, working every single day.
I'm assuming it doesn't sound like, correct me if I'm wrong, because you're not making that much money. You're just kind of in survival mode. And you're always working. Sounds like you had to sacrifice some stuff.
Yeah, everything.
Everything, right?
Well,
don't know anybody. Doesn't sound like you could do that much partying in a schedule like this.
You'd be shocked.
You'd be in LA, right? You could find the time, but you gave up a lot of your, I guess, youth. You could say, right? Just working.
I gave up a lot of that like young privilege that everybody thinks they have.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like that I take for granted. Like while everybody was in college, like all my friends were in college, screwing around and like sleeping and then going to class and sitting there all day taking notes. Like I was like killing myself, working, like physical, like. Doing hair is like physical labor. It's no different than like picking up like stuff and moving it around. Like it's intense. And so that was like, I gave up that whole like young privilege of like, oh, mommy and daddy are going to take care of me. I mean, I moved out of the house the day after I graduated from high school. I was 17.
Yeah.
And so I had to though. Like,
there's no option.
The option was move back to Turlock. Like,
which.
That's
for some
not
people,
an option.
yeah. For you, it was.
For me, it was not an option.
Right, like, success to get to the top. It was I need LA. I need more.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna come back to that because obviously I know you, and for people watching, we're really good friends. We talk all the time. I know the whole story. I know everything. So I'm gonna come back to 20 to 24 because there's a big success principle there that I had to go through it too. Like you met me when I was maybe 21. Yeah. I think I may have just turned 21. And I wasn't partying. There was no drinking. There was no my dad. There wasn't any messing around. It was, you want to be an entrepreneur? You're going to work 7 days a week until you get really good at this, right? So I'll come back to that because there's a success principle at the end of this that you have it right now, but I want to tell the audience. But back to your story. So 25, what happens next? So you're working in Turlock. You come to LA. You're doing this, doing that. What happens at 25?
I had a baby.
You had a baby at 25?
At 25. At Archer when I was 25.
So Archer's 14.
Almost
14. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that threw like a big old urgency.
Of course.
Into the situation, right? Because up until that point I was like, oh, I can have like this much money.
Yeah.
Right? So I was hustling, I was working, but like my value of my time was direct correlation to how much I think I needed to get by. And a lot of people experience this where they're like, well, I only need like $3,000 a month, so that's my value of my hourly. And that's not the way it works. That's not how you build wealth. Like,
Same thing happened when I had a baby.
You don't get ahead that way.
Yeah, your need changes.
Yeah,
right?
And then you have the babies. Your need changes. All of a sudden I'm like, okay, in order for me to go to work, like I gotta pay someone to take care of my daughter because I was by myself.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like just me.
Yeah.
So that right there with that income raised just to be able to go to work.
You're paying to go to work.
To go to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you think it's just cheaper just to sit at home and like hang out with
Which it is. Sometimes. So, okay, that's interesting. Obviously I know about Archer, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know it was 25. So 25, you have a baby.
Yeah.
Everything changes.
Everything changed.
What happens next?
I think that I had to start thinking about like the long term, right? Like what was my long term game plan? Because I just moved there to find a bigger bubble that I could start filling up, right? Well, you know this about LA and New York and all the places, like you can't fill that bubble up.
No.
Like it's impossible. Like I don't care who you are, because no matter how big, Ariana Grande has 1 million followers or, but Selena Gomez has, 100. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The bubble can never be filled. And so I had to start looking at it like, okay, well, since I'm never going to fill the bubble, right? I can be a part of it. I can do this thing. But what am I going to do for the long term? Because here's a kid that I do want her to be able to go to college if she wants to.
Yeah.
Right? I don't care if it's an art school or a school where they teach you how to do macrame, like what, or a school where you, start
Options.
businesses, like
Yeah.
options.
Yeah.
And I wanted her to be able to grow up without that fear of lack, right? So, and I think a lot of people can relate to this. When you grow up poor, where the only time you ever get new clothes is when school starts, and you don't go on vacations, and your parents never say, yes, you can buy that ever once when you're at a store ever, right? And you don't get to go out to dinner, and you know what I mean? And like you grow up with a very severe sense that there is not going to be enough for you in the world, and you're not going to get yours, right? And so I think that for a lot of people, when I said like my desire, right, exceeded my doubt, like that doubt, when you're raised like that, comes from a really deep place where you got to have a big desire, right? And so when I had Archer, that was a big turning point for me, where my desire like jumped and was like, what's my legacy? Like, what am I going to leave behind for her? What kind of mom am I going to be? And one of the things I decided when she was little was that the next 6 years are really not that important in the grand scheme of what the 12 afterward are going to be. Right? And so my goal was like, okay, I want to be retired by the time I'm 40. By the time she's 12, I want to be able to be with her and pick her up from school and, take her to school. And like whatever she needs to talk about, we can talk about. In the car, on the way home, I'm there. If she doesn't want to talk, then we just sit. Right? But like to be there, to physically be there. And so that spurred this whole, motivation in me of like, what am I good at? What am I good at? What am I going to do? What's the next thing? How do I make that into something? Right?
Yeah.
And I think that ultimately was just like, okay, it became a hair extension company. But it could have easily been soap.
Yeah,
right? It's not the product. It's not the thing. It's like, it's your desire for it. And like, does it make you happy?
The entrepreneur. It's the person. It's So that's the point I was going to get. You just planted the seed. I want to make this so transparent for people watching. Because it's a success principle. Right? And you and I talk about this all the time. I know some of the people that work with you. You know some people that work with me, and we have a lot of mutual acquaintances, mutual friends as well. So your story, right? If we look back, 20 to 25 up until you get pregnant, just working. Then first 6 years of Archer's life, even more working, just all in.
I literally tell people I never saw my kid.
Yeah, you tell me this all the time.
Like I never saw her until she was like 6 years old.
So, but people need to realize now, and I'm going to paint the picture, at least from the outside looking in, what I see in life. I know you're still working, but because that's intimidating when people say, I have to give up everything. I have to give up seeing my kid. I have to give up fun. I have to give up this. I have to drive 9 hours over here. But your life now is pretty incredible.
Awesome.
Every time I see you on Instagram, you're in a different country at a yoga retreat, or last night you're at a spa doing facials with Archer.
No, actually, that was my bathroom.
That was your bathroom,
That's
but
how
it
great
looked
my
like
house is
well,
now.
yeah, your house is really cool. It looks like a spa. You are picking your kid up from school every day, spending quality time. And I called you because we're filming this, the second week of the new year. I called you, I think New Year's Day, if not the day after. What's the goal? How can I help you? You said, work less, make more. Like, virtually don't work hard at all and make more money than I've ever made. And you're in the position to do that. The principle here that I want people to get, and we talk about this all the time, hard work.
Yeah, because that can get real confusing.
It can get,
get really confusing. Like, when people look at me, and, like, I'll have people say to me, like, oh, you're 39, and you don't have to do that. Like, it's a thing. Like, it's like, I work 2 days a month in the salon, and people are like, what? And I'm like, okay, by the way, I make more in those 2 days than you make in the entire month that you work, right? Like,
yeah.
But the reason why I now have the idea of like make more money and work less is because it's not about the hours, right? It's not about the hours. It's about how much are you doing with the amount of time that you have the ability to do, right? So impact.
Yeah.
So I'm big, like you said, in the people business. Now I'm all about impact, right? I'm not about pieces of paper and does that get signed and do you move something from here to there? I'm about impact.
Yeah.
So if I can sit down and have a conversation and it's a dinner or it's and mind you, by the way, like I work like, 90 hours a week on this.
Yeah.
Dude, but it's not work. It's not work to me, right? Because I'm passionate about it and I
secret.
love it. And it's like, all I do is sit and have conversations with people, right? What are you doing? Same thing like when you called me up. What are you doing? What do you need help with?
Yeah.
How can we figure it out for you?
Yeah. What do we need to do?
What are you working on?
Yeah.
Right? And I think that piece of it, when you get that piece, where you get to, right? Because that's where you get to. When people talk about like success, no. Where you get to when you're successful is the luxury of having worked so hard that you now get to just do shit for other people all day long. Right? Like, that's the success.
Sounds like my dad, by the way, right?
It's exactly
Where'd you get that one from? So, for those that don't know my dad, how much help does he give to people these days? It's almost like it's his business, it's his job.
I laugh and I always say to people, like, you can't do it alone. You can't. Even I don't do it alone. I'm like, I literally make 0 decisions. I call your dad and I say, here's the details, and he tells me what to do. And I'm like, cool. Now, the first month I met him, I didn't let him do that, right? Like, I didn't know him.
Build trust.
But I trust him. Like, he's proven to me that, like, he has my best interest. He really wants me to be successful. He knows what's important to me. He knows that he could never, ever, ever tell me to do something that would interfere with my relationship with my child and picking her up from school, because I'm just not going to do it. Yeah. It's going to ruin our relationship. Like, he knows. And that, right? So that's another key point of, like, you can't do it alone. You have to have mentors.
You got to have that. But it's that custom one-on-one mentor. That's the magic. And that's what you're doing with people.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
It's really not the same. Like, I try posting stuff on Instagram like, oh, look at, like, the Dalai Lama said this. It's like, who fucking cares? Like, motivation does nothing. It really doesn't.
It's like a piece of the equation. But
okay, if we're going to go on a scale of what a person's potential is and them reading a motivational quote
it's not even,
and what it's going to do for them,
like,
they're going to get out of bed.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
but then what?
Like, no, like their potential's like here, but they're reading quotes thinking that they're going to get here. It's like, no, a quote's going to get you like here, right? But it's that mentorship, that one-on-one thing, that having that true relationship with someone that you trust and that you actually listen to. Like, if someone gets to the place, right? And this is just like, I'm going to go on a tangent here of like,
that's what this is for, tangent
time.
To
the place to where they've spent their life working their ass off and they're successful, and they take their fucking time to sit down with you to have a conversation for free and tell you what's going to make your life better, you better do it. Like, listen and do it. Don't be an asshole and like just like not do it. Go, thanks for the advice.
You're getting
and like
fired up, yeah.
Go around. But right, because it's like, I feel like there's so many people doing that nowadays.
Of course.
They're just like shopping for advice.
Yeah.
And they take up people's time.
Yeah.
You know, and they're going out there and they're taking up someone's time, and it's like, dude, this is time where like someone like, I could be with my kid.
Yeah.
You know, let alone helping someone else who's gonna like then turn around and like crush it. Like,
of course.
I have 3 girls specifically I'm working with right now that like, I mean, are just killing it.
Yeah, you've told me some numbers.
8 grand a month to 24 grand a month in 5 months. Like, you know, $3 grand to $9 grand in like 2 weeks.
I've seen
right?
it, yeah.
Like, insanity. Like, why am I not going to spend every moment that I have with them?
Yeah, just pour every ounce of potential. So I like how fired up you're getting, and I think anyone watching right now, they could see the vibe just got a whole lot bigger. That's how important mentorship is. That's really how people don't understand. Like, and it's not mentorship. Go into a generic seminar where the speaker is not going to give you all their attention and customize it to you. It works, but that one-on-one. What's more valuable?
Okay, if you don't have the self-esteem to call up someone who you think is great or DM them on Instagram and say, hey, I have have a couple of questions. Do you think you could answer them for me? If you don't have that kind of self-esteem to care, right? Like somebody said something. It's like, is someone going to hit you back? Maybe not. But guess what? If you do it 500 times, at least one person will.
Yeah.
Right? So how bad do you want it?
Yeah.
Right? But if you don't have that kind of self-esteem to try to get that one-on-one with someone, then go to a seminar. Right?
Yeah,
do
yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of people not doing anything.
It's better than nothing, of course.
It's better than nothing, right?
Yeah.
But then when we go to results, right, and what's going to create the biggest impact, like I have people all the time message me questions. Hey,
all the time, yeah.
I'm going to do this
Myself
stuff. Do you have a book I can recommend, right? First book, always recommend every person because I can't tell you anything if you don't believe in yourself, right? So it's like magic of believing. Number 1, right? Read that book.
Yeah.
Start believing in yourself.
Magic of believing. That's a good one.
Like always the first one. Because
Yeah.
then when you come back around with belief in yourself that you can accomplish stuff and that the world like has all this stuff. You know, if I looked at had a conversation with my 14-year-old self and now like I would be like mind blown. I didn't even know that like I could have a house like I do. Like I didn't even know this existed.
Which, by the way, you got a nice house.
Like I do.
You got a nice house.
I love my house.
All right, so I want to talk. I might get in trouble for bringing this up because, again, I know your business a little bit, but I don't care. That's what Coffee Talks is about. I bring the good stuff to my audience. All right, so going back to your story a little bit, living in LA, young, hustling, hair salons, cutting people's hair, making people beautiful. How did you end up? There's a gap here. How did you end up from that situation to now your product, hair lingerie, which is, if you haven't seen, by the way, Harper's Bazaar just did an insane article edifying your product, right? Your hair extensions. I mean, this lady, she says, I'm skeptical about hair extensions. 5 steps later, you need to get this.
Yeah.
Right? So, and this is Harper's Bazaar. It's the most credible thing to read if you're in this industry. So your product is obviously really good. How did you go from hair cuts, hair salons, hair this, to now your product, and this is where I might get in trouble, is literally on the heads of and we'll bleep this out if we have to, tell me afterwards, the Kim Kardashians, the Paula Abduls, I'm going to throw just name, Jennifer Lopez, literally every powerhouse woman in Hollywood wears your product, whether they know it or not. What happened? How did this, because this is like the cream of the crop. This is the dream for a lot of people, especially in your industry, to have the most famous humans on planet Earth wearing your product and then obviously making a ton of money from it. How'd you come up with the idea, and then how did you get it in these people's hands and make it a successful business?
So I think that like this goes back to that whole idea of like people get caught up in the product, right? Products are products. Somebody comes in. When I started this company 15 years ago, there was no one else. You know, there was 3 other hair extension companies that were popular, and I created this method of doing this, right? Well, 15 years later, right? There's 900,000 companies doing it.
Really?
But
as you can tell, I'm not necessarily I'm not in the hair game.
Yeah,
so.
Right, but so it's not the product, right? It's not the product. It's not what you come up with. I think that I happen to be in a place where I was so in touch with what felt good, when I was doing it, that I found that I was good at this thing, right? And there's a difference. So there's this book called The E-Myth, and it describes the whole like entrepreneur myth. So I was a technician, right? I was doing hair every day, and one day I had this like idea, like, oh, I want to start a business of this, and this is going to be my thing, right? Those are those moments of entrepreneurship that come up. And for a lot of people it happens, and I've seen like hundreds of people go like massively into debt and just get ruined on like that moment of entrepreneurship, right? Then you have people who are managers who can like run stuff and do, right? But, oh, I run a company really well, I do this, I'm a good business person, I should go out and find a product to sell, right? Momentary
decision making.
Yeah, decision making based on like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. I think the biggest jump in the way that I got where I am is I actually am an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? When I was a little kid, like we shoveled the snow of like all the neighbors' houses to make money and mowed their grass, and in the summertime, and I was always like had a sign-up sheet on the wall in my house that was like 25 cents for foot massage. Like I was always trying to find a way to like do something, make some money, like have something happen.
Yeah.
Creating stuff, building.
The muscle was already
things.
there.
Yeah, it was already there. Right. So I think that's the part, because this whole entrepreneurship has become, very, very popular. Everybody's looking at it and going like, oh, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to do that. Oh, I want to be an entrepreneur. I just got to find the right product. I got to find the right product and I'm going to take it off. And it's like, no, it's like you got to be the person who's like willing to do all that work.
Of
right?
course.
So when I started my company at 25, right, I spent 8 years of throwing money at it, testing, using it, doing it on my clients. Because I started my company for me, right? I was like, okay, I want to go to now, right? Again, I want to go to the next level. What's the next level? Well, there's a smaller bubble within LA, which is the beauty business, right? And the celebrities and the celebrity hairstylists. This time, like, I'd already been traveling around the world with Barbara Streisand and was like Steve Martin's personal hairstylist for years. And I was like, what's that next thing? Like, what's the next thing? Oh, okay. So if I have the best product, the best thing, I do this, I'm amazing, then I'm going to have those people, right, that are in that bubble.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going to make the money. Because that's how it's been done for years and years, from Vidal Sassoon to, all the big hairstyles. And so I was like, I started this for me, to have the best stuff. And I spent 8 years where it was for me. And every once in a while, somebody would ask, and I would teach them, and I would train them how to do it, and they would do it. And then, right at one point, you look at it and you go, okay, I have a good thing. A really good thing. A lot of other people want to be the best too, not just me. And you start realizing how much room there is, right? There's a lot more room than just me doing it.
And when you say you were doing it for you, meaning you were keeping your product to yourself to give to your clients.
Yeah.
You weren't sharing it with anybody or distributing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Me starting that company was like one of the greatest things I did for my own personal business.
Because you had something that no one else had, right?
Yeah.
Now, let's segue here. How did you fine tune this product so well? Because it blows people that are skeptical away. How did you make the product, right? You get the idea. Tell at least a couple stories. I know you got on a couple airplanes here to get the greatest hair to put in these products possible, right? To put in these hair extension products.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, I got crazy photos of me, like, in India, like, standing next to, like, piles of hair that's like this. Like, it's so intense. Like, I used to come back to my hotel every day and be like, oh my God, there's bugs.
Wow.
Like, just freak out. I mean, because you're just like, it's insanity. I mean, the stuff that I did is insane.
Yeah.
It's just nuts.
How long did it take to fly from LA to India?
I don't even know, because I think one flight's like 14 hours and the next flight's like 10 or something.
Wow.
Like,
so it was like 24 hours of traveling.
Yeah, it's like forever.
To go stand next to a pile of...
Yeah, to go sit and sort through it and make sure you have like the best hair. Oh,
it's crazy.
It was crazy. When I think back now, I'm like, wow, like I really, really wanted that. Like, I really wanted that.
Yeah.
To get, I was like by myself in India, but like
by yourself in India,
like I mean,
so nuts,
crazy.
But looking back, that's the fun stuff,
dude. I'm about like I know in my brain I'm about to do something again that like I'm gonna 20 years from now be like, what on earth were you even thinking?
Why did
about?
I do that?
Like, why did you
just want it so
crazy?
bad?
Because I'm just like that.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting telling these stories. And my daddy's parking lot sessions, right? Where he'll spend...
my college education.
What's the longest you've spent in a parking lot in one set? I mean, 12... Literally could have been
probably like 9
hours,
I think. Of like finishing 12 and like getting home at like midnight.
Yeah, for those that don't know, my dad will stand in a parking lot, not a fancy office, not a boardroom. He'll stand in a parking lot with you for 9 hours and just talk about pretty much anything there is to talk about. And by the end of it, your life just changed. But those crazy stories, I think, is what makes entrepreneurship beautiful, right? Like when I was doing my direct sales business, 21, just turned 21, I'm like, oh, I gotta prove myself to the world, right? My dad's super good at direct sales. I'm like, I can't. And he even told me, he said, if you do this, you better be good. Like, there's no way my son isn't gonna be good at this. And I was trained and developed, but I remember there was no like failing here. And I didn't need that much money. I'm living at home. I'm 21. I don't have any girlfriends or anything. I read books and listen to audios every day, right? I need like $500 a month. So it wasn't even for money. I was just so hungry to like prove I could do this, that I would do anything. And actually, a mutual friend of ours in my downline, he says, Chris, want to come do a meeting for me? Yeah, I can sell this better than anybody. Of course I want to do the meeting. Where is it? It's at my work, the LAPD, the Los Angeles Police Department, because he's a cop. Okay. Not ideal. I'm 21. Not ideal, but let's do it. What time? It's before the shift starts. What time's I'm not a police officer. What time does shift start? Starts at 5 a.m. So we'll probably start at 4:45 a.m. Okay. It's not ideal, but I'll do it. What day? Monday. You know, Monday's Veterans Day. These cops don't want to be working on Veterans Day, right? No, not really. They'd rather be at a barbecue. So I'm going to a meeting in LA. You know, Orange County to LA is like, that's an hour drive. Hour drive. Got to show up at 4:30 because I can't be late, right? I want to be prepared. 4:30 to a room full of police officers on Veterans Day, where we're supposed to be commemorating police officers and people in service, not selling them something. Let's do it. I do the meeting, and it was brutal. I show up, he says, oh, you can only talk about the product, you can't talk about the business opportunity.
You're like, what?
It's not necessarily my forte, I'm good at telling the business opportunity. He says, and we only have about 20 minutes. My presentation's 45 minutes. This is not supposed to go well at all. But I throw it down, I'm wearing my dad's jacket because I didn't have any money to buy my own. The presentation was so bad. No one bought anything. They were making jokes about arresting me at 5:30 in the morning. I'm 21 years old doing this.
You're like, why am I here?
Why did I do? You're driving home. I'm like, why did I do this? But you'll do anything.
Yeah.
You'll fly to India for 24 hours and sort through dirty hair.
It's not reasonable, right?
Not
when
reasonable.
you're in that place where you're passionate and you're driven, like, you're not reasonable, which is the reason why, like, you'll
do
work
anything
for 23 hours in one day, and then or you don't sleep a whole night, and you're like, wait a second, when was the last time I went to bed?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
won't forget to eat.
When I was building my second company, like, I literally slept for 2 hours a night because I spent between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. on the conference calls with China because that's the only way I could get anything done.
Wow.
Was to literally be on the phone every minute with them being like, okay, how are we doing? What are we doing? What's happening today? Okay, send me a picture of that. Let me look at it right when they were awake.
Wow.
They weren't up when I was awake.
It's crazy.
Right? And it's like,
crazy.
but that's what you have to do. I mean, I think that's right. That's where the misconception comes through. And I think that's why the stories are important, because the stories are supposed to excite the people that get excited about that kind of weird, insane shit into being entrepreneurs and going out and like doing their thing. And it's supposed to scare the people that are, really, I couldn't be here right now. Like, I literally could not be here right now if I didn't have 4 people who run in my company who are working for me. Like, I love them. I need them so, badly, as all entrepreneurs do. It's like you have to have a support system and people. So if you are that person where you're like, you don't have the energy and you don't have the whole thing to be this crazy lunatic, like, you're going to be a really good number 2.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to be a really good, support person. Like, someone will need you and they will find value. This whole idea that, like,
which, by the way,
entrepreneur or you're poor and you have no money.
Yeah, no way. No,
that's
by
not
the way,
true.
There's some number 2s out there that you want to be number 2 at Facebook?
Exactly.
Want to be number 2 at Amazon, at Google? Number 2 is not, number 2 is pretty good. But the entrepreneur thing, hearing these crazy stories, if this excites you by any means, you're the real deal. Yeah. Like, if this is like, wow.
If you hear that and you're like, ooh, that sounds horrible.
If a person already closed this podcast after hearing these stories, they just don't have it. If you're still listening, you are an entrepreneur because you're crazy enough to like these stories. So you build this business. You're 39 right now. You're on top of the world, right? You're still progressing. I know right now. Talk about what you're doing now. So now you're still building hair lingerie, the hair extension business. You still serve the most powerful women in Hollywood and the most famous people in the world. directly or indirectly, but you're doing it in a really interesting way. You're not knocking on doors these days. You're not cold calling people trying to sell your product. You're doing it by helping other people. Elaborate on that.
So I learned really early on when I started doing hair that the person that's standing in the room that's concerned with what they're doing and what everyone else thinks that they're doing and trying to get praise is the last person that's going to succeed.
Interesting.
Right?
That's very interesting how you put that.
If you're sitting around waiting for somebody to validate you, to say to you, like, oh my God, what you're doing is so amazing, right? It's all about you. It's all about you getting that praise. You're not going to succeed. You're not going to last long, because the second that moment of criticism comes, instead of that like uplifting, you're amazing thing,
you'll break.
You break.
Yeah.
You break and you can't make it through.
Yeah.
Right? And that's when you start getting scared and you have the doubt and you have all this stuff. So I learned really early on, like, the second that I learn something, if I can like teach someone else what to do, then that person, right? Then I have that person.
Yeah.
And that's a person.
Yeah,
that I have.
yeah.
It's on my side. That's like, if I need something, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? And so I just started applying that to my business. I'd have somebody come in and be like, I want you to help me. I want to learn this thing that you're doing. And I could have been like, shh, this is my thing. I'm about to take over the entire hair game myself.
Yeah.
Right? But I realized that again, going to the next level. So hair had stopped making me feel good. Right? There was a moment in time when like there was no better feeling than a woman like sitting in my chair crying because I'd like given her beauty back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
After a while, I was like, this doesn't do it for me anymore. But you know what started getting me off? Like, what made me just like so excited was somebody being like, Kiara, do you know what? Like, I took that thing that you said to me and I went out and I said it to someone else and they paid me. And like, I got about,
Yeah,
I gotta do this. And it just was like, what?
I get it.
Like, what is this feeling? This feeling is rad.
Yeah.
And so I built, my entire business on people, on meeting people, saying to them, what do you want? Right? What do you want to get out of your life? Not what I want you to get out of your life, which is what a lot of companies are trying to sell you their idea of your dream.
Of course.
Right? And for me, I'm like, I don't care. I don't care if it's $200,000. I don't care if it's $20,000. I don't care if it's... And I probably am going to have a lot more confidence and potential, see more potential in you than you see in yourself, but your mentor always should.
Yeah, of course. Bring out the best of you, yeah.
But whatever you want, whatever your level of success is, and you've determined that's your level of success, then, okay, great. Let's go get it.
Yeah.
Now, what I did was I gave them a way to make money.
An actual way.
An actual, tangible way.
Give them a system, a product, environment to where, I know at least a little bit about it, and you're helping young people make a lot of money right now. A lot of money, doing what I think they love, right?
Totally.
Having fun and everything like that. So you're really changing the world in a positive way. And I'm proud of you. I'm happy for you. You're having a bunch of fun. It's so cool. It's so cool to see, and you've made it a very long way. Again, we only touched on like a little bit of your story. You've made it very far. So we'll wrap up because I know you got some meetings to get to, right? You literally, just to show how crazy you are, you flew here from California to my office in Vegas, straight here from the airport. Got changed in the bathroom to shoot this podcast. Yeah. Now you go to the next meeting.
Yeah.
Right? You're almost a lunatic, but I love it. That's entrepreneurship.
I am a lunatic.
So normally, you've seen the show. You saw especially the episode with my dad. If you didn't see it, go back, watch episode 9. We like to write on coffee cups around here.
Yes.
Right? And it's called Coffee Talk. And I try and be the best host possible. So I'm texting you. Thank you. I'm texting you days before. What time do you want to start? What works best for you? What kind of coffee do you want? Get as fancy as you want. Get specific. I'll make it happen. I drink tea.
I said fancy tea, by the way.
You said tea. What kind of tea do you drink? Fancy tea. Where do I get the fancy tea? Like, I'm thinking, like, how fancy does tea get? You don't even answer the question. You say, let me just keep it simple. I'm going to bring my own mug, my own tea. So, we normally do this in the beginning, but you threw me off because you don't drink tea. So, I wrote on my coffee cup today, everything is marketing and everything is sales.
Okay, I'll agree with you that.
Everything you do.
Even trying to get your dog to sit.
Everything. You're selling, you're marketing, you're selling yourself in relationships and business
Everywhere.
and health, everything, even to yourself. You waking up at a certain time, that's you selling yourself. I'm going to dominate today, right? So that's my little reminder to myself. You have a special mug that I believe
I have
Archer...
a very special mug, actually.
Talk to me about the mug and the tea.
I was like, oh, I have a cup. And I could bring my cup, and then I think my tea will get cold while we're sitting here. So I asked Archer if she would make me a cup.
Yeah,
because
like a thermos, right?
Thermos, yeah, right? And so mine says Gold Digger on it. Goal.
Gold
right?
Digger.
And she made this for me. And the reason why she made it for me is because, like, I'm raising a business person, right? Like, I want her to be very clear about the idea that, like, we all have this capacity to do stuff, to make things, and that if I need something, I'm not going to go to the store and buy something that's, like, overpriced. I'll just be like, hey, Archie, can you figure out how to do this for me? Can you make this thing for me? So that she, right, raising her with self-esteem.
Yeah.
Her to be able to be like, yeah, she's like, made it. I got home. She's like, look at this. Did it.
Yeah, a go-getter. Like, I'll figure it out. I'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Gold digger. I love it.
Gold digger.
So,
and also because, like, you know, the thing for me is that you can't, I would never, like, I literally would never have accomplished anything if I didn't have a goal. Right? If I didn't have the goal of, like, I had this crazy idea in my head, I wanted to be bigger than Vidal Sassoon. Like, I was like, oh, bigger than Vidal Sassoon.
wow.
Like, I didn't even know what that meant.
Is, but that sounds great. Yeah.
Didn't even know what it meant, right? Like, but just like, this is the biggest person I see, and I want to be like the step ahead of him, right? Whatever it is. It was
so
just...
pretty specific goal.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, because that was my industry, right? And that was all I knew.
Yeah.
Right? It's like that
I like it. I like the specific goal. Some people disagree. I think it as, I want to be one step
I didn't know what it meant.
Yeah.
But I just knew that person was the biggest person I saw, and I wanted to be bigger than that.
Yeah. Cool.
And then a plan, right? So it's like, I think so many people are trying to do this just go through life. I'm going to think about something and it's going to happen, or I'm going to, you know, oh, that would be nice. And it's like, that's not how it works.
Yeah. Let's see what happens, right? Instead of let's make it happen.
Yeah. Well, and I do not leave anything in my life up to the idea that someone else is going to get it for me, do it for me, make it happen. Like, I don't have that kind of time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not coming back. Right?
You're
like, I got
not
one shot
relying
of
on
this
other
thing.
people. Yeah.
It's like, and, you know, even though we're living longer, like, I'm about a third of the way through.
It's going to end eventually. Yeah. I love it. All right. So, Kiara, before we end, is there one last thing? It could be a word you want people to leave with, a phrase, a quote. Is there one last thing? Winning?
I said, really? You're going to call me out like that?
Yeah, I'm going to call you out. Well, that's what this makes it interesting. Is there, and you could say no. You shouldn't say no. But is there one thing that you want people to leave? A lot of people are now just getting introduced to you.
Yeah.
So what's one thing, after they listen to all these crazy stories, your rant about mentorship, all your ups and downs, what's one thing, and it could be something you said already, you want them to leave with?
Like, there's no shortcut. Like, you've got to do the work. And don't be afraid of it. Like, I promise you. And you can come back to me 10 years from now and say maybe I was wrong, but I promise you. Okay? Like,
I like it, yeah.
Like, that if you do the work, like, you will get it. You will, but
work.
You have to do the work. You have to.
I love it. Not enough people say that, so that's a great thing to end on. So, Kiara, cheers to an epic episode of Coffee Talk. I appreciate your time. I know the people watching as well, too.
I appreciate it.
You guys, thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you next time.